Here are the remaining solutions for the Advent riddles, starting with number 15, a simple one. There are chemicals leaking from a mine, causing it to be abandoned, the correct answer being abandoned mine. And on the topic of mine leaks, this is also the second of two that was designed as a spoiler for Rising Sun. If you take the first letter of each word, it spells out Rising Sun leaks, gold mine. Number 16, the correct answer is obelisk, a giant stone structure that in ancient times would have stood in front of Egyptian temples as a symbol of the power of the gods. But in Dominion, it features in the Empire's expansion, which is Roman themed, and is depicted in a more Byzantine empire having been plundered from Egypt. It would be rather awkward if the landmark that rewards you for gaining cards were to end up on the weakest card in the game, Philosopher's Stone, although technically that can't happen because Philosopher's Stone is not an action card. Number 17, the correct answer is horn, which would be strong if full of plenty of food. On its own is just being used as an instrument, hanging around until it can sound out its effect of top decking a border guard. Number 18, we got some people who are pursuing a stag after it's made off with their coffee, and they've got to track the remnants to get it back, which is to say they are hunting grounds. Number 19. Most of the first three stanzas are just describing various historical figures known for foreknowledge. You got the beacons on the Han Empire's Great Wall, Sun Tzu's spy networks, Phidippides running the marathon, Paul Revere. In Dominion, there are plenty of cards associated with foreknowledge, like Oracle or Seer or Fortune Teller. But the specific one we're looking for here is mounted, gazing out into the distance towards threats, and wielding a bow like Apollo. So the correct answer is Harbinger. Despite the general value of foreknowledge, Harbinger ironically tends to be quite weak because most of the times that you use the effect, the discard pile is empty, or at least devoid of cards that you would want to top deck. Number 20, we got a parody here of the Sailor Moon theme. The correct answer is Rush, an event whose artwork features buildings being built by moonlight. Its effect is to play stuff the first time you gain it, but you rarely want to be using Rush on your draw cards, because any cards you draw are likely to be useless. You're already in the buy phase, so any actions you draw can't be played, and you've already bought something at that point, and so you can't play any treasures in the buy phase either. And Groom is the card I would say is most strongly associated with rush-based strategies in Dominion, where you're trying to empty 3 piles very quickly, because it's quite powerful at gaining cheap victory cards. This, of course, being a different sense of the word rush. Number 21, the correct answer here is Treasure Hunter, a card that hunts down a card a little bit weaker than gold. It's one of the Traveler line cards whose effect is to gain a silver, and frequently in Kingdoms with Page, what you're trying to do is advance the page to champion as quickly as you can, and so often you're trying to dodge those silver gains if possible. Gaining too many silvers can slow down your deck before it gets the champion in play and then kicks off. Treasure Hunter is from Adventures and is advanced into better cards like Hero and Champion, though occasionally you like to keep the Treasure Hunter around because you'd love to gain a lot of silvers for effects like Keep, Palace, Conquest, or even Theodem, which reward you for having a lot of silvers. Number 22, another parody, this time of My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. Your opponent's already got a bunch of provinces and you're way behind on points, so you need some way to score a bunch of points and get back in the game, apparently by gathering a bunch of cards that you really wanted anyway. So the correct answer is Collection. And if you look at Collection's artwork, the first three stanzas are all just describing the various things that you can find in the collection. Number 23 is describing a dog that is faithfully protecting its owner, so the correct answer is, of course, Fortress. Fortress is from Dark Ages. The artwork features a mountainside, and fortresses are meant to be unwelcoming by design. If the fortress were to be trashed by an opponent's swindler, far from losing it, you would actually just get to draw it into your hand, which would be quite a good counter. If the owner of the fortress trashes it via, say, butcher, one of the brokers, or apprentice, you just get the fortress straight back into hand. But unlike the other remodel variants, if it were to be displaced, a card which technically exiles the fortress rather than trashing it, it ends up being lost forever. Number 24, the Christmas Eve riddle. This one being a parody of The Night Before Christmas. The first few lines are setting up the timing. The turn is wrapping up. You've already played your stockpiles. You put your treasures aside in the crypt. You bought Foresight to set up for the next turn. Vampire and Changeling have been played. And so we're wrapping up the turn when all of a sudden there's a towering structure covered in scaffolding. The correct answer being improve. Prove upgrades cards by one cost at a time, say from one cost to two to three to four to five to six and seven. It's very effective at piling out late in the game, and because you're just trashing one card into another, you're not incurring additional negative victory points from wall. And finally, number 25, Christmas Day, looking for a jovial man dressed in red who has bells. So the correct answer is Jester, card that can hand out presents to the opponent. Often, if it's a good card, you just keep it for yourself.